and welcome back to Makeup Mandala. On today's video, we are doing the second part of 20 minutes or less makeup looks, and this time we are going for an evening look. Now, remember, this takes 20 minutes or less, and you're gonna look just as fabulous. For your first step, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have all your products laid out in front of you. Absolutely all of them, because it's gonna make sure that this process goes by really fast. So, for your first step though, you're gonna wanna go ahead and find yourself a sparkly, glowy, much more on the creamy side of a primer that'll really make sure that your makeup sticks and that you have a nice glowy finish underneath all that fabulous makeup. And as always, you're gonna wanna make sure that your hair is put up so it doesn't get in the way of all the fun. Okay, so picking up just a little bit of that primer, you're just going to lightly spread it evenly, put it on the cheek, forehead, chin, and nose. Okay, so once that is setting, you're gonna wanna go ahead and grab your foundation. Now for this step, in my last video, we didn't actually use foundation, but as we all know, when we're going out in the evening, we might stay a little bit later than we should, and we want to make sure that our base continuously looks flawless and we don't have any like breakthrough of like any facial oils or anything like that. Before you say anything, I know I look crazy, but I want to give you guys a quick tip. So when you're applying your foundation, always take it on your hand and apply it evenly, like in little spots as you see as such. Because when you start blending, you're giving the other spots a chance to dry. And when you let your foundation dry just a little bit, you're actually allowing for more full coverage. Key to a good look is a flawless base. So after you're done with your foundation, you're gonna wanna go ahead and go in with your concealer, remembering to apply in the inner corner and on the outsides, facing up. Once you're happy with that, you're gonna start going in with any regular facial powder you have, any kind works. Taking my beauty sponge, I'm actually just going to pour a little bit of the powder into the cap, and I'm going to apply it with my beauty sponge. Now the reason why I do this is because it really does give a much more flawless look, because whatever powder I pick up on the sponge is applying directly onto the face. As if you're using a brush, it kind of like sweeps a lot of it into the air. So I would like a much more compact, like lightened look. Another great tip is that in any spots that you know on your face are going to get more oily through the night, you're going to want to make sure that you put a little bit more powder on those spots to really hold in the makeup. Of course, this tip is going to be a little bit different depending on your face shape, but when I apply my facial powder, I like to keep it very much like in the center of my face, highlighting under my eyes, my front of my cheeks, my nose, my chin, like right above my mouth, my eyebrows, like my T-zone area. Just because when this is lightened and this is a bit darkened, when I go in and I add bronzers or your blush or whatever, it gives a bit more of a extreme touch. Next step, you're going to want to go ahead and find yourself an angled contour brush and use that brush into your bronzer to apply to your face. So dipping into my bronzer, I'm actually going to keep this brush angled that way, applying right under the cheekbone, just in tapping motions. Now, because when we're going out in the evening, we might, go into a dark club or a party, and so I want to make this a little bit more forward, just so the point gets a bit more across during the night. So, bringing it just a little bit, not to your mouth. You never want to touch your mouth. That's just a no-go. You want to bring this a little bit forward. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a smile, like as such, so that you have a bit of a guideline for where your cheekbone kind of curves. And once you're happy with that, you're going to go in and you're going to Okay, so once you're happy with that, you're gonna grab that brush again and you're gonna go in and finish the job in any other areas that you feel you need contour. Now, I suggest starting off with your jaw right after your cheeks, making sure to keep this area lightened, and starting right by your chin, you're just gonna drag this back to the back. Once you're satisfied, you're gonna go in and add your blush. Now, of course, for an evening look, you're gonna add a little bit more product than you would on a daily look. So going in with more of a peachy blush, I'm actually going to keep this blush closer up on the cheek and more close to the bronzer, because I really want that look to fade up into my face. When you keep these separate, such as you put your contour and your bronzer back here and then you put your blush on your cheek, they look separate and it's much more noticeable that you're wearing makeup. So if that makes any sense, I'm going to bring this blush just right on my cheekbone, keeping it close to my bronzer, using circular motions to blend upwards, slowly patting in any areas that get too distinct too fast. Okay, so once you're satisfied with how your base looks, as you can see, there's much more of a blended look, but from the front, it's a bit more extreme than the daytime look. So, going in with your highlighter. I mentioned this in the last video, but I'll repeat it now. When you want a more calmed down look, you're gonna go with a highlighter that maybe is a bit warmer and closer to your skin tone, such as the evening look. Now, we're gonna go in with a much cooler tone of a highlighter, just because that appears more in the, shall we say, night lights. So I have picked myself up this one, and as you can see, has a bit of peachy tone, so it's not going to be like, you know, white, because we're not trying to look like a drag queen. So picking this up, it can kind of blend in with my brush just a little bit more. So keeping this a bit taller on the cheekbone, so a bit closer to my eye, I'm going to bring this in a little bit more on my cheek, so that when I like look this way, when I pull my face this way, the highlight continues. In my opinion, I feel like everybody has a much more specific brow routine than they would a base routine. So for me, what works for me is brow powder. And the reason that is because my brows are already pretty full. So whenever I want to go in with like a pencil or a liquid, it always ends up looking like too much. And so brow powder is perfect because I'm able to fill in some of those holes and make my brows look like much more like pristine without going too extreme. So if you have thicker brows, brow powder is great. And if you have thinner brows, I would suggest trying to find a different video for learning how to do eyeliner brows. Taking this angled brush, I'm going in and just cleaning up some of my lines and filling in some of my holes. Another great thing about brow powder is that in case you mess up or you misline something or color's a little bit too dark, you can always go in and just like take your finger or brush and like smooth it out and blend it out really easy. And so I find when you're trying to go fast and do a look in 20 minutes or less, it's a great thing to have on hand. And for this next part, the eyeshadow, you're only going to need 4 brushes. So you're going to need a rather large blending brush, or just really the largest one you have. It doesn't have to be exactly this huge. But then you're going to want a medium blending brush, preferably one that's a bit more like square on the side. Then I'll give you another example. As this one's more round, this one's more square. If you can kind of see the difference. And then you're gonna want to have one that is very compact and round, and then a very tiny blending brush. Now for this look, I'm going to be using the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 eyeshadow palette. Now, you don't have to use this palette, you can use whatever applies to you, but I'm going to use this as an example to kind of show you guys what kind of like shade ranges work best for an evening looks that can really go with any outfit. So here's the palette, and I'm actually going to be going into really these shades for my original like definition spots. And then if you can kind of see down here more in the wine colors, I'm going to be dipping into some of these to start blending in the darker shades. And then they also have some really wonderful shimmers in here, but I think I might go in with something a bit more toned down. Picking up a light brown color, I'm actually going to start right on the outer crease, very close to the crease, just in a patting motion, keeping it towards the outer side, bringing it slowly in to the inner side. The reason why you should most definitely start when you first pick up your color on the outer edge is because when you start and then you just put it on and then rub, all that color just right across the eye. And then you find most of the time you have a hard time blending that out or adding new colors because there's just so much product in like over the entire eye. Then taking that big brush that we talked about earlier, and just going on the outer edge, circular motions, just rounding in, and repeating the process on the other eye. Okay, so going in with that really tiny blending brush, you're gonna pick up a shade that's about, I would say 4 times more brown and dark than this original color is. So I'm going to take a palette called Homebody. And in this, it should look around that kind of color. And I'm again just gonna keep this very much onto the outer corner, just stamping it right onto the crease, bringing it a little bit forward. You're gonna take your big blending brush and you're in circular motions going to blend across the eye, keeping all the bristles on top of the lid, never above, for that would give us a Lady Gaga look. Once you're happy with that, you're gonna take that compact brush and you're gonna go into those more wine kind of colors I was talking about before, and picking up one of the lightest ones that's a bit closer to more of like a corally pinkish brown mix, if that makes any sense. Picking up about that much on a brush, and you're actually gonna take this and you're gonna place it under your eye. Now, staying very far away from the inner corner. So really applying right here only to about the middle of the bottom lash. Not trying to apply down, but keeping it very close. As you can see, that looks very intense, but we're gonna take that really small blending brush again, and what we're gonna do is, without trying to blend this out from the bottom, we're just gonna take the outer rim of this and bring it to the top. So almost pick up the powder that's on the eye, close the top lid, and bring it up into the crease, up into the crease. And you're just gonna repeat this process until you're completely satisfied with the blending look. Alrighty, once that's final and done, you're gonna take that medium like blending brush, and you're actually going to start blending this under a bit because it's still looking like a lot of color. So taking this brush, you're not going to, I dropped my brush, start on the outer side. You're gonna just start right there, quick back and forth motions. Like so, because you're not trying to drag this color to the inner corner, and you're not trying to take away the power this has. Just make sure that it has a nice fade. Alrighty, I'm actually really happy with how this is turning out, but for nighttime, like, we're gonna need more than just some warm tones. So dipping into a more grayish, almost black color, I am going to pick up a little on that more compact brush. And what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna make some eyeliner on our eye without actually putting on eyeliner. And the reason I've chosen to go with this technique is because when you put on eyeliner, it takes hours and it usually doesn't even come out even. And so when you're trying to do a look in 20 minutes or less, you really need something that you can blend out and perfect to your liking and like quick time, and that is this. So taking that color just a little bit, I'm going to start not on the outer, like not off the eye, but really close to it, keeping close to my lashes, and just nice back and forth motions, keeping it rather thick on the outer eye, and right in the middle of the eye, I'm going to very much make it much thinner, because we're not trying to have a thick line across our eye, we're trying to bring a bit more fierceness, if that makes any sense. Once you're happy with that, you're going to pick up just a little bit more color, and you're going to start right where you started, and just slowly start dragging it out to the length of your liking. And finally, all the hard work is done. Now, if you're like me, and this inner corner, especially with a like eyeshadow brush, is not as fine as you would like it, do not worry about it, because when we go in and we add that sparkle, we brighten up this inner eye, because right now it's looking like a bit too dark, that's all gonna go away because it's eyeshadow and it blends, which is exactly why I chose this instead of eyeliner. Okay, time for sparkle. Now here's the thing, not all of us have a million different sparkles to choose from. So if you already have your highlighter out, you can go ahead and use it on your eye, and it's actually gonna tie the look together rather well. So go ahead and do that. But if you're looking for something a bit more fancy, you can go ahead and try and find an eyeshadow that's a bit warmer, because even though we have a cool eyeshadow, we want something that kind of like brings a level of fierceness when they look at our eyes. So picking up my shimmers. I'm just going to lightly apply the shimmer closer to my eyelid, blending up and above the eyeshadow. So not just keeping it on the lid. I'm really just doing my best to lay down that sparkle. If the sparkle isn't being as vibrant as you would like it to be, just pick the eyeshadow up on your finger. People are like, use these brushes, and really your finger is sometimes your best tool. So just a little bit. I look kind of weird doing this, but the difference from the brush appliance to the finger appliance. Alrighty, once you are satisfied, you're gonna go in and pick up that highlighter again, and you're gonna highlight the inner corner, keeping close to the look, blending up into the sparkle you already have on the eye, right above the brow bone. I swear, this takes 2 seconds, and it literally makes this look 10 times fancier than it actually is. Alrighty, I'll be right back as I comb my lashes and apply mascara. Alrighty, I am so happy with how this has turned out, and I hope you are too if you're following along. But we do need to add the final touch of the lips. Now, because it is an evening look, you can really play with your lip colors, but I'm choosing to go with a much more, like, if you can kind of see a little bit of the shade of the gloss, it's a much more maroon, reddish, pinkish kind of look, which I feel like would look stunning with this. So I'm gonna go ahead. And it's actually kind of a lip duo thing, and I actually found this at Dollar Tree, and some people be hating on Dollar Tree. This, I swear by this, it is amazing, and it's so easy, you just take it on the go. Okay, but enough about Dollar Tree. Going in with the lipstick, I'm going to have nothing on my lips but my lips, so I'm gonna go in, starting at the outer corner, coming in. Alrighty everybody, that concludes our evening 20 minutes or less look. So I hope you guys are super happy with how this has turned out. And the great thing about these looks, guys, is that you can always jazz them up or jazz them down. If you're going to like a party, say after dinner or something, add some lashes, maybe go with a red. You know, you can totally make this even more extreme, or you can take it down a notch. But either way, this takes you little to no time and you look stunning. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Bye everyone.